you're saying something more than that, though. You're saying the New York Times is systematically putting these polls out in a way to try to amplify them to drive the news cycle.
Yes. I am saying that.
Morning Joe accuses the New York Times of cooking the books when it comes to election polls. I'm Rob on the Right. Let's go take a look.
And by the way, people calling and going, oh, this is just a reaction to one poll. No, you can go back. You can look at the tape. We do this every time a New York Times Siena poll comes out. It's always an outlier. And the New York Times always gets 15 or 16 articles out of them that everybody rushes to because it says Earth ends at 5 o'clock. Go hit link at New York Times 15 times. And they keep writing articles about it. There are, and NPR has found some of these voters that said, well, I voted for Biden before. And they said, but wait, this guy, we checked the voting rolls. He's never voted. Other news organizations have like 3, 4 more examples, not just of people in the surveys, but people the New York Times quoted in their articles of, well, here's one of many people that we interviewed that said he's disillusioned and is going to vote for Trump. No record of them voting.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you feeling something?
I think Heilman is dumbfounded by Joe's idiotic statements. Stick around and see how Scarborough never lets this guy get a word in edgewise. I feel bad because I want to hear what John has to say.
I think sometimes, as a general matter, there's maybe a little bit of an over-reliance on voters telling the truth about things in general. Hate to say it. Reporters find this occasionally that reporters lie. Here's what I'd say about this poll. If I were to ask you this question, Joe, do you know anybody on either side who doesn't think that it's the case that of the battleground states that Joe Biden is stronger in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin than he is in Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia?
It sounds about right. I've seen some polls that show that Georgia is very close. Greg Bluestein actually had an article that also says the Siena poll is wildly off.
I'm not saying it's not close. I'm not going to carry water for the New York Times or for the methodology of this poll. I'll keep going back to a thing that I try to say every time we talk about these things, which is that I'm really interested, and I know you know this, is like, what are the polls telling us directionally about the race?
I understand there's a difference, though, with the New York Times Siena poll, and you know this. It's given disproportionate impact. This year, this cycle, it is skewed wildly in Donald Trump's direction. Hold on.
I mean, seriously, is this guy ever going to let his guests speak? I never really liked Joe Scarborough. Always thought he was kind of a D-bag. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hold on. Yeah. And the New York Times feasts on it with clickbait stories like a dozen at a time.
And what I'm trying to focus on is what I think people should pay attention to.
But what I'm trying to focus on is the New York Times right now is actively shaping the election cycles where this poll comes out on a Sunday and on Monday people go, oh, and I heard it. And I'm sitting there going, oh, don't be so stupid. That's why we're doing this.
So hold on a second.
Hold on. What I hear is after these Siena polls come out, every time New York Times poll is, oh, well, everything that Joe Biden's done since the State of the Union address, all this money that he's put out, all of the campaigning is for naught. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's one poll that's wildly skewed every time. Okay. And it does shape, if it's a New York Times poll versus a Morning Consult poll, and the New York Times then amplifies it 15, 16, 17 times, it warps reality, and everybody responds to that in the media and in the political world.
Wow, I never knew Joe was a conspiracy theorist. Good work, Joe. Making up stupid stories about the New York Times to go ahead and cover for Biden losing is just gross. And on top of this, not allowing a counterpoint to be heard on your show, well, that's ugly as well. I'm going to spare you guys from making you watch Joe repeat himself again and again. Instead, you should check out the women over at The View. They lose their mind over the polls. Seriously, it's pretty funny. Check it out. And if not, see you around the campus.